Yeah, now listen, you two have a past, is that right?
Yes, we do.
Do you want to talk about
Yeah.
Well, go on.
Go.
Jack was the voice coach, dialect coach on our feature film we did called The Power of One, which was based on a Bryce Courtney novel for Warner Brothers.
Now, what was it about?
Boxing.
Boxing?
It had a boxing theme, and the director was John Avildsen, who had directed Rocky. And they asked me to work on somebody's accent, and the problem was, not in your case, but there was an Afrikaans accent, and you know the Afrikaners are not hugely romantic in their language. And so they asked me to help and make her nicely basted, as they put it, in terms of her voice. And then in came this absolutely extraordinary looking, wonderful person called Faith, who was up for the part of this...
Miriam Sisulu.
Miriam Sisulu. And Sisulu is a very big African name. Sisulu. Yes. Walter Sisulu was one of Nelson Mandela's great, compatriots. And Faith walked into the place, worked a little bit with me, and walked away with a part tucked under her arm, and went to Southern Africa for a while.
You must have been about, what, 13 or something?
She was
12.
a child.
I was a child then.
She was a child.
But
and a very, very, very gorgeous looking, wide-eyed, fantastic... Well, I don't know about that, but certainly he was blown away. And this, he'd done Rocky, he'd done the Karate Kid, and things like that.
So what kind of part was it, Faith? What did you have to play?
She was the wife to be of one of the lead males, Gideon Duma.
Yes.
And I recall, going back to the accent now, I remember you saying it has to be rounded. I remember that. Do you recall that? I know it's a lot. Yeah. It has to be round and soft and round.
So how were you actually speaking then in those days?
In those days, what? As Miriam Sisulu?
Well, when you went out to Zimbabwe?
I spoke with my own accent.
Which was what?
London.
London,
yes.
Right. So you had to completely...
transform.
Get an Afrikaans accent?
Yes.
My goodness.
Oh, not Afrikaans.
Well, Africa. It's an African, a real African.
An African accent.
Yes.
Which is what we want for our play, don't we, actually?
Yes.
So how did you find that? Was it easy?
It was interesting it was finding the method of breaking down the vowel sounds and then going with that and work, and then also absorbing the locals once we went to South Africa, Zimbabwe. It was just absorbing the whole, you know how one moves, their movement, their pace of movement, and which affects the voice.
Yeah.
It's just and the sun, the heat, just that whole slowing things down. Because Faith talks very fast. My energy's up there, but they're more.
Yeah, you have time in Africa. You
Exactly.
have time. You have time.
Exactly.
And of course, Faith was there at the time when it was all fermenting.
Yes, very much so. It felt it as well. We were protected by a film crew. We just took over the hotel, but you could feel it if you spoke to the locals who worked in the hotels, or some of the cast. One or two of the members of the cast were from Zimbabwe, and they'd tell you more what was going below the surface, onto the beautiful stars. It's interesting, very fascinating, and the number of languages out there as well.
Well, I mean, South Africa has something like now, well, it has the official languages, but there's, I think, 13 basic languages that are spoken there. I don't know how many are regarded as official, but you know, we never, when we were brought up, we learned English and Afrikaans, but I had an uncle who was very active politically, and he would speak, you know, all sorts of languages, and it's simple good manners, you know, to speak the language of people nearby. I heard a bloke recently talking about some French name. The guy's name is Dieudonné, and he called him, and he's a really educated person, this guy, he called him Dieudon or something. You know, not understand. France is just across the way. So, you know, we should know a little bit about the language. So, but it's a direct result of our education that we were really not taught more of other languages. And now in schools, people are learning Zulu, and you know, there's Zulu and Xhosa, and Sotho is actually a language composed of other languages, and Venda, and then there's the Khoi people speak a different language, and so on. They're interrelated, and it's interesting because if you go to Kenya, for instance, Hakuna Matata, everyone knows Hakuna Matata, which means no problem. Hakuna means no, right? And it's from a song in The Lion King. in most the languages I learned in South Africa, Ikona means the same thing. It's just no. But from a few thousand miles, Ikona to Hakuna, there's a connection. It's not that far, and there's lots of examples of that, because nobody in ancient times divided up Africa.